If you or your partner have either taken an ED drug or thought about taking an ED drug, this is a video for you. I'm Dr. Lori Buckley. I'm a sex therapist, and I talk to people all the time, whether they're in a relationship or they're single or they want to be in a relationship, about their sexual functioning or about their sexual skills. And having an erection is important. It's important to the men who have penises and sometimes important to their partners. Now, if you are struggling with getting an erection, maintaining an erection, or you have a partner who is struggling with their erections, then you probably have either thought about taking an ED drug or recommending an ED drug to your partner. And there's some things that I want you to know that are important before you decide that. First of all, the most popular one is probably Viagra. When we think of ED drugs, we think about Viagra, but there are others. The most popular ones are Levitra and Cialis. And while they all work similarly, they're different, and our bodies are different. So if you do decide to try taking an ED drug, I would say get a prescription or a sample of each one of them and see which one works for your bodies. But what I'm going to talk about today are who should take an ED drug, who shouldn't, and what the pros and cons are of deciding to do that. If you are considering taking an ED drug for recreational purposes, I'm going to say probably not the best decision. Now, I'm not saying across the board you should never, but again, you want to be able to make an informed decision and think about the positive and negative consequences of doing so. So if you can generally get an erection, but you would just like to maybe have a little insurance, or you want an extra hard erection, then, taking an ED drug is certainly an option. I do believe there are better options, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. But right now, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of taking some sort of medication. Now, there are side effects, so it's risky. Even if you're really healthy, you just never know. First of all, if you are drinking a lot of alcohol, if you're taking nitroglycerin because you have a heart problem, these are contraindicated. You definitely don't want to be taking an ED drug if this is the case, because it can really cause some complications, maybe even death. Now, while it is generally, or they are generally safe to take, there are some serious side effects that can happen. There are people who report headaches or stomach aches, but more seriously, there can be a sudden loss of vision or hearing or ringing in the ears, and there can be heart attacks and strokes. Again, those are rare, but it's possible. Everything that we put into our body does have some potential risk. And again, while an ED drug can be and is generally pretty safe, there are some serious side effects that you might want to consider if you don't really need it. Now, what's the other negative about taking an ED drug? If you don't need it, I'm going to say it can give you a sense of confidence, a sense of security, because it feels like, okay, if I take this pill, then I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about not getting an erection or not keeping an erection. Here's the problem. It's not a magic pill. The thing is, while it does help with blood flow, which is nice, it won't work if you're in a state of anxiety. You still need to be aroused. It's not like you take a pill and boom, you have an erection. You take a pill which will allow more blood flow, and then when you're aroused, you will have a more reliable erection. That's what it's designed for. But for a lot of men, they'll take a Viagra or some sort of ED drug and it doesn't work. Why? Because you still need to be aroused. And if you're in a state of anxiety, you're not going to get aroused, blood flow or not. So it's not necessarily an easy, quick, sure thing fix. And that's important to know. Now, the other thing is, if it does work and you're thinking, yes, that was great, and then next time you're going to be maybe seeing that same girl or maybe someone else, but you're like, oh, that was great, I'm going to take it again. Well, now you might start to develop some psychological dependence. and wonder, if I don't take it, then what's going to happen? And then if you get that psychological dependence, it's not necessarily a physical dependence, but a psychological dependence, it could create actual erectile dysfunction or unreliable erections. And if you already have relatively reliable erections, there's no 100% reliable erections, but relatively reliable erections, and the penis is working fine, then you may not want to mess with that, because it really can create some psychological dependence and anxiety when you don't take it. And that's part of the problem. So that's kind of the cons. Let's talk about the benefits. So the benefits are kind of like what I was saying the negative side is. It can actually give you some assurance or insurance. And sometimes that can help alleviate the anxiety. I would say if it's going to help every now and again, and you just feel like you just need to know that you can get an erection and the pill can help, you try it, there's no negative side effects, maybe not so horrible, but you don't necessarily need it all the time. In fact, you can have great sex without an erection. And you might be wondering what I mean by that. Now, you can't really have intercourse without an erection. That's very difficult. So we're not talking about that. But sex is so much more than just intercourse. And if you allow yourself to enjoy whatever you're doing, chances are you will get an erection if you don't have any physical issue. If you're younger, you don't have any physical problems, you will probably have a more reliable erection when you're not focusing on getting an erection. So that's one thing to think about. But sometimes it just helps. You know, it helps to have that little bit of assurance. Now, the other thing is, if you are older and you do have some physiological challenges, I'm going to say, things that make it more difficult for that blood flow. Maybe you've been a smoker, maybe you're overweight, maybe you're older, and you find that you are really struggling and not able to, ED drugs are fantastic. They really do make it possible to get nice, reliable, hard erections as long as you're aroused. And that's a wonderful thing. Now, you want to make sure that if you are taking some ED drug, that you let your partner know, you talk about it. There are some things that can happen. One, you could have priapism, which means you have a hard, painful erection that won't go away. Or when you do ejaculate, you might find that you have a very short refractory period, meaning that you may want to actually have sex again in a relatively short period of time. Your partner may or may not like that. So it's just good to be transparent, have these conversations. It can be a wonderful asset to your sex life, and it can be a detriment if it's not used without the information, without the knowledge, without the consideration. Okay, now I do want to talk about other options if you're having difficulty getting an erection, and maybe because of anxiety. I do find that most of the men that come to see me who are struggling with their erections, getting them or keeping them, it's usually anxiety based. They're so in their head and worried about performing and getting that erection or keeping that erection and wondering what the woman is going to think, or man. And this is the problem. So the first thing, like I already talked about, is don't focus on that. Focus on pleasure. Focus on giving and receiving pleasure. Work on mindfulness techniques so you can get out of your head, so you're not experiencing anxiety. But other than that, there are things you can do. You can use a cock ring or P ring. They're wonderful, because if you can get an erection, but you have difficulty maintaining it, or you find yourself getting anxious and then you lose the erection, or maybe you just even want to last longer, a cock ring or P ring or C ring, they can be wonderful. So once you get an erection, you put the cock ring on. It's like a restriction. And what happens is it will stop the blood from going out. So the blood goes in to fill up the penis in the middle. It goes out around the outside, and putting on some kind of a restriction ring or cock ring is going to keep you harder and longer. So it can be a wonderful thing, and it's kind of fun. There's all different kinds. There's stretchy kinds, there's kinds that are adjustable, there's kinds that are even custom fit. But to find what is going to work for you can be a lot of fun. They even have cock rings, and I do have a video, and I'll put the link below, that have little vibrators on them. So if you are having intercourse with a woman, not only do you get the benefit of staying hard, but you also get the benefit of providing her with some clitoral stimulation. Now you could also move that vibrator to the back and you'll get a little perineum stimulation, which can also be arousing. It can feel really, really good. So that's something you can do. Now, if you have a physical difficulty getting an erection at all, you just can't get an erection at all, and you don't want to take a pill or it's contraindicated for you, use a penis pump. Penis pumps are fantastic. And again, that's in the video as well, and I will link that below. But it's a wonderful thing that what it does is you put it over your penis and it suctions the blood into your penis to get it filled up, and then you take the cock ring and then you put it on. So it gives you that blood flow, and then it holds that blood in your penis with the cock ring, and it works really well. So if there is some contraindication, you don't want to take a pill or you can't, and you know that physiologically you just can't get an erection, a penis pump is a really good way to go. So to recap, I do feel that the ED drugs are a wonderful thing. They can really help when needed, but there are some things to consider. If you're thinking about using it recreationally, you might want to think twice. If you are having trouble getting aroused because you're anxious, while it can provide you a little insurance and a little confidence, which might help, if you're anxious and you're not aroused, you're not stimulated, you're not going to get an erection even with the pill. And that's why so many people report that they don't work. They think that they're going to take this pill and boom, they're going to have an instant erection. It doesn't always, well, it definitely doesn't work that way. You have to be aroused. Just remember, if you are taking it recreationally and you don't need it, it can create some psychological dependence and even create some kind of erection difficulties that you didn't have before. So think about it, make an informed choice. If you need it, they're great. Talk to your doctor, try the different ones, see which ones are going to be best for you and whatever's going on in your body. Do make sure you get them through a doctor. Don't get them on the web. Don't get them from somebody who you don't know. Make sure you talk to your doctor, make a decision. While I said they are relatively safe, there can be some serious problems with them. So please make sure that you are doing the thing that is best for you, your partner, your sex life, and your body. And have fun. If you are enjoying these videos and you're finding them useful, I hope that you will subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot to me. It helps support the channel. And while you're at it, if you're liking this video, please give me a thumbs up and take a look below for some videos that you might also find useful and helpful. And I always do appreciate you watching. I will see you soon. Thank you so much.